Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Good?
Yep.
All right. Thank you all for coming. I believe Chief Winstrom is going to be the first person here, sir. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Captain
Yeah.
Maycroft. Appreciate you guys. Hey, I want to thank you guys for two reasons. Number one is, as you have learned by now, we want to be as transparent as possible with serious use of force incidents. But additionally, this individual is outstanding, and we're looking for the public's help in identifying and locating this individual who fired at two of our officers. So it was about 11:44 on March 2nd. That's early Sunday morning. Two of our special response team officers made a traffic stop in the 1900 block of Division. Individual who was a backseat passenger in that car fled from the traffic stop, fled into the alley, and ended up on the 1900 block of Horton between two houses. As you may recall, 1900 block of Horton is the same area as last November where we had three individuals who were murdered. So this area of the city is important, and that's one of the reasons why our special response team officers are down there ensuring the neighborhood's safety. So the officers pursued the individual on foot, was observed with a handgun, turned and fired on the officer multiple times, both of whom returned fire. This individual is still outstanding. Michigan State Police is conducting the investigation into the officer-involved shootings. We are assisting in the criminal investigation of this individual, who, as I said, is still outstanding. I'm going to let the video speak for itself and then take questions after the fact. So, and we should have, by the time we're finished here, a Dropbox set up with this video to share with you all. I know we've had this discussion before, but what I won't do today is come to a conclusion of whether the officer's actions were within policy, within the law, within our training. There is not only disturbing images, but also profanity in this video. Both officers were equipped with body-worn cameras. We'll be showing you film of both of those officers, the passenger and the driver, as well as we're going to start by showing you the in-car camera video of the initial stop. As you'll recall, the body-worn camera is located in the chest of the officer, so as you'll see in one of the videos, it's easily obscured, for example, when the officer is utilizing her portable radio. Again, graphic content and profanity. I do not know at this point in time, because it's not my investigation, what the probable cause was for the traffic stop, but as you'll see from the in-car camera video, there is no license plate on the vehicle, so that would be probable cause and certainly a traffic violation cause for a stop. The stop, again, is going to be in the 1900 block of South Division in our city. noises that you heard there were the two doors closing, not gunshots. Of course, they're running eastbound, and they end up in an alley. This is the driver of the squad car here. And the first officer in the police.
Watch the car, watch the car, watch the car. Hey, stop! Put your fucking hands up! Hands up!
There were two officers right behind the officers that made the initial traffic stop. They stayed with the vehicle, which still had two occupants in that car.
Hey, drop it! Drop that fucking gun! Drop the gun! He's got a gun! He's got a gun! Drop it, dude! Fuck! Yeah. 12-18, shots fired, suspect running toward Horton.
Shots fired. Suspect running towards Horton.
Black male, black jacket. Me and my partner are 10th floor.
Black male taking damage.
Hey, watch it, watch it.
Step forward. Qualified, we're not respecting.
This is his partner's video. One of the things to note is one of the statements she says it appears that she's the first one to notice that the offender's armed, and calls it out to her partner.
I think he's got a gun.
Drop that fucking gun!
Right by the alley between Division and Horton. He's got a gun. Officer while shooting. He's still running. He went on Horton northbound.
A couple of still shots taken here. You see the right, in his right hand, he has an object. We're looking for help from the state police. First of all, I want to say that it's almost 2 years since I've been here, and the state police came into an agreement with us to investigate our officer-involved shootings, to maintain the legitimacy and the integrity of the investigation so that we're not investing our own in the shootings. And I think they thought it was going to be a lighter lift. This is officer-involved shooting number 6 in the past 2 years, and that, more importantly, goes to the dedication of our officers who've been facing a lot of circumstances, including like this, where we're into March already. We have not had a homicide in this city, and these two officers came just within inches of losing their life from an individual running from a traffic stop with a firearm. So I want to praise the men and women of the Grand Rapids Police Department for the work that they're doing. But I also want to say thank you to the Michigan State Police, who are working very hard on this case to identify and locate this subject. We're cooperating with them, helping in any way that we can, but anyone that's able to reach out to the Michigan State Police, they can call the front desk here, they can stop by here, they can also anonymously reach out to Silent Observer via text, via their website, or call them. We would really appreciate the public's help in this case. And with that, take any questions if there are anything I can clarify for you.
I have a few questions related. Obviously, the person is still on the run. There were 2 people, from my understanding, those still in the car.
That's right.
Do those people provide police with information about who this person is? Do you guys have any details that you can pass along?
Well, unfortunately, for the answer to the question is, since GRPD is not doing the investigation of this incident, I don't know what information they provided. What I can say is that they did remain on scene. They are not suspected of any crime associated with this. What level of cooperation with MSP, I'm not sure, but they did remain on scene.
Did you guys recover the gun that was fired by that man too, or was that still missing as well?
That, actually, I don't know that information. I'm unaware if a gun was recovered or not.
Do we know who the car is registered to?
I think that is not a mystery. I believe the driver of the vehicle is the lawful owner of the vehicle, so that's not an issue either.
Are you guys canvassing the area, obviously, for surveillance area, because he was last seen near Horton Avenue near Division, right?
Absolutely, yeah. There's businesses there. You know, it's right across the street from the Metro bars where the first incident happened. So our team was out there that night to help, but MSP had, I believe, 10 detectives out there conducting a door-to-door canvass. And generally, in serious cases like that, they will remain returned during daylight hours and do it again. And probably because this is the first business day, they're going to do it again. So definitely, anybody with surveillance video that hasn't been contacted by MSP, please reach out to them, reach out to us. We're very interested in getting that footage.
What is JRPD's chase policy? You know, when it comes to foot pursuits, what is the policy? And I don't know if you can speak to why officers decided to continue to run after that suspect.
Well, okay, that's a lot to unpack, and I'll tell you, we have like most police departments in the country, we have a vehicle pursuit policy. It's very important. A vehicle is an inherently dangerous object, a 2,000-pound projectile. It's very dangerous to chase. We do not have a foot pursuit policy. We have a lot of policies which touch on foot pursuits, but we cover all that in training. Now, there is a misconception in the public, which we hear a lot. Why would you chase an individual that wasn't the driver? You pulled over the vehicle. And this is something from a police officer's common sense point of view. I've known, the entire time I've been a police officer, you do not have a legal right to flee as a passenger of a car. You are under far less scrutiny than you are if you are the driver of the vehicle. We don't demand passengers provide driver's licenses, etc. But even the Supreme Court back in 2007, by unanimous decision, said that individual, if you are a passenger in a lawfully stopped car, you are seized. So that individual had absolutely no right to leave the scene. It was violating the law, and as soon as that officer said, "Stop, police," he is violating an additional law. As soon as he saw him running with a gun, my instinct is it is not a legally possessed gun. Add that to the reasons of why we're going to chase him. And what I don't want to do is allow, because this has been a topic of conversations in other jurisdictions, even the one I left about 2 years ago, and it gets to the point where there's a confusion of why are we asking the officers, why are you chasing that individual instead of, I want to talk to this individual and say, why were you running? Because you do not have a right as a passenger in a vehicle to flee, and we will chase you every single time.
So in the video here, the last place we kind of see this guy is he runs past that shed, it looked like, in someone's backyard. Is that the last time that JRPD saw him? Was he spotted shortly after?
From the radio traffic that I listened to, yes. And kudos to those officers, their training. You can see, I think any other jurisdiction, they would have conducted the foot pursuit in such a professional way. If you'll notice, the officer behind was calling out a much more description. She was the first one that noticed the gun. She was giving clear directions. And then when that shooting happened, they stopped. And they stopped because now they know the individual is attempting to murder them. The instinct as a police officer, it's hard to be in a situation like that and not run towards that to end that situation right there. But those two officers, they followed their training, they stopped there. We attempted to set up a perimeter, which we did very quickly. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work out. We have our drones, we have our canines. In this situation, it just didn't happen where the individual was apprehended at the time. How he got away is something that I'm sure we'll learn eventually. But as I said, big compliments to the officers and I'm not making a judgment on the entire incident, but their stopping where they did is something that you generally will not see in an agency that doesn't train. We have a training culture here where we hope we never have to deal with an incident like this, but we are trained to deal with it, and that certain thing that they did when they stopped like that is something that you won't see elsewhere.
How long have those officers been with JRPD?
Both of them have been with the police department over 5 years. I don't know exactly what time, but they are members of the special response team, and that unit you do have to put a significant amount of time in as a patrol officer to get the ability to even try out for that team. So they're both seasoned officers.
Have they previously been involved in any other officer involvement?
Not since I've been here, no.
Once again, just to clarify,
Yep.
what was the reason why GRPD pursued the vehicle? And I know you said there was probable cause looking at the video because there was not a license plate, but do we have a record why
No,
the
and if you,
traffic stop commenced, you know?
if you'll remember from past incidents that I've talked to the media about, sometimes I'm able to give that answer. And why I'm able to give that answer is that the officers have made a note on it on the radio. Some other officer was involved that was not in the shooting. In this case, both officers were involved in the shooting. We, being the Grand Rapids Police Department, have not yet interviewed those officers. Those officers will come in for an interview tomorrow, and we'll get that information. But as of right now, MSP is the one with all those factual informations, and we're just keeping it separate. And I just want to share with you the use of force in the spirit of transparency.
So we wouldn't know if any of the other individuals have been charged with like any crimes regarding to that traffic stop? or anything
But at
like
this
that?
point in time, I'm confident that neither of the other two individuals in the car were charged with any crime associated with that. And that's because we do, as much as we keep the curtain between us and the Michigan State Police, I have talked to the lieutenant in charge of the investigation this morning and just offered any support that they need logistically. And that's just minor information that they were able to share with me. It does not sound that those two individuals are suspected of other crime related to that stop or anything else.
And they're not offering up any details to police as to who the person in the back who fled?
They might, I am not aware of that, but I would not be aware of that. Michigan State Police would be the detectives who are interviewing them, and, yeah.
Do you know how many shots were fired at officers?
It sounds to me from watching the video, and if I didn't mention it, we will be supplying a Dropbox links for you guys, so you'll be able to slow it down yourselves. We and my team have watched it several times. From our trained point of view, you could watch it, you can slow it down, you can tell immediately that it's the individual, the subject, who fires first, probably 3 times. The officers return fire possibly about 8 times, but it could be 1 or more in the other direction. But a lay person watching that video could watch it and listen to those gunshots and not really know who's firing. But if you slow it down and take your time, or if you have someone that's really familiar with gunfire, you'll be able to get a little bit better of a breakdown.
Were any homes hit? I know it's close to homes. So maybe chasing after
My understanding is that 1 or more houses were hit, and I don't know who they were hit by. Yeah, but there were no injuries associated with it. Otherwise, I know there were individuals who came out shortly after the fact who seemed very cooperative with the police department. We're thankful for the help that the neighborhood did provide that night. I know it was a long night. We had that neighborhood closed down for a long time. It was a very large scene to deal with, so thankful and appreciative for the residents there.
both officers fired, correct? It wasn't just.
That's right.
Okay.
That's correct.
And then just in general, can you explain, because I know you had mentioned that they're a part of the special response team, can you just explain what they do? And then I know you had said earlier in the press conference that they have been in that area since that triple murder back in, I think it was December.
Yeah, that's it, sure.
Can you just explain why there has been an increased police presence there?
Well, the
Special
increased police
response
presence is because the increase in violence that we saw last year. Fortunately, as I said, we have not had a murder in the city of Grand Rapids in this year. We hope to keep that up. And part of that is our proactive, high visibility patrol in the areas that we did see gun violence. To answer your question regarding special response team, back 20 years ago, we used to have 400 officers in the police department, and the special response team was a full-time SWAT team that all they did was SWAT-related incidents, search warrants, and things like that. As we've progressed through the years, we have, as you know, less than 300 officers now, so it's a smaller, leaner police department, and we ask a lot more of our officers. So whereas that group of about 20 officers is trained for SWAT-related incidents, high-risk entries to search warrant locations and things like that, we also utilize them for a variety of things, such as focus patrol. They've gone door to door for me on the DICE program. They're really a small pool of discretionary officers that volunteer for the job, and we're able to adjust their hours as needs meet, as to meet needs requiring a special event. If there's the vice president was in town recently, we lean heavily on them to change their hours, to change their duty assignments. So they're really like a Swiss Army knife team that we can utilize for a whole host of things. Yeah, but they are very, very well trained.
But on Saturday, it seems like they were just on patrol, like there wasn't.
Those
like a
officers were,
special, like-
they were on patrol in the area down there on the south end of town, Burton Heights area and South Division, just specifically for, really for gun-related crimes. So they were doing what they were supposed to be doing. I don't know why they stopped the car, but clearly that was a car that was a good car to stop, because there was an individual armed with a handgun willing to murder other people. So that is exactly who we do not want on the streets of Grand Rapids.
And then just, again, to clarify, what is GRPD's response or their policy on pursuits, especially in residential neighborhoods like that? Obviously, you guys don't know that someone's gonna pull out a gun, and obviously when they do, it turns into a whole different situation.
Right, now you're talking about foot pursuits.
Yes.
Yeah, clear. So we do not have a foot pursuit policy because being someone with, I was the head of commanding officer of policy and procedure for the second biggest police department in the country. And I will tell you, nationally, it is not possible to craft a foot pursuit policy with a serious face and get a professional result, because it is impossible to contemplate every situation where a foot pursuit is needed. It's not the same with traffic pursuit, but that is why in our profession it is so important to train. And we train safety for the officers, we train safety for the residents. What you mentioned, they're going into a residential neighborhood. Their concern there, if you're in a shooting situation, is not only your own safety, it's your partner's safety, but it's also your backdrop. And that's something that hasn't always been, that officers are really paying attention to what is behind the subject or the threat that they're shooting at, because unless it's a brick house, it is not a bulletproof house. And so that's something we take very seriously, and that's why I really compliment the training culture that I inherited and that we're continuing, because it's impossible to write down a policy for everything that these officers encounter on a daily basis. We have to train and make sure that we're always the best and we're always getting better, and that's what we're doing.
So this started as a traffic stop, and then they fled from the traffic stop, and then it turned into a foot pursuit, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Why would you encourage people to come forward if they know who this person is and where they may be?
This, I think we're better than this I know we're better than this as a city. I think anybody who sees this video isn't gonna have sympathy for this individual. Let me put it this way, we watched, and I didn't time it, to see how long those officers were running behind this individual, not only in the parking lot there, but through the alley. They are chasing an individual who has a gun. The female officer calls out, and if you watch it again, you'll see, she's the first one to know it. Before they're even through the fence, she says, I think he's got a gun. And the next officer, the male officer who's in front, sees it, and you can see the still shots. It is not his hand, it is a rectangular object, which we now know to be a gun. And sees that, and then does not fire upon him, even though when I was a brand new officer, and some of the officers that are in this room here, 20, 25 years ago, that is a deadly threat. That man could turn and fire at those officers at any time. And very possibly, I think that we're looking at a justified shooting in that case. They didn't. They chased him and chased him and chased him. They waited till the last possible second, and they do not have to wait to be fired upon to fire at that individual. They did everything they can to make that neighborhood a safer place. They're out there doing the right thing, and this young man is out there with an illegally possessed weapon, most likely, and willing to shoot indiscriminately. I don't know where all the bullets went. I am so thankful that they didn't hit my police officers, but I'm also thankful that it didn't go through the wall of a house next door and kill a child. This is someone who does not care about the neighborhood, does not care about the city, and it's important that we hold individuals like this accountable to improve conditions in the city, which I think we're all on the same page. I feel the city headed in the right direction. I'm so optimistic about this year, safety-wise, but with 200,000 people, there's gonna be a few individuals like this. He needs to be held accountable, he needs to be off the street, we need to take that gun off the street. So that's a whole bunch of reasons to make those calls. Call MSP. Like I said, if you don't want to call us, if you don't want to call Michigan State Police, call Silent Observer. You can text them, you can email them completely anonymously to provide information. All right.
Any more identifiers you can tell us about this man, or is MSP going to broadcast that when they talk to these people over the car? Or
I spoke to them earlier today, and I know they're working on as many as I was asked about additional surveillance cameras. I know they're out there canvassing. I know they're talking to any possible witness. So I assume that in the near future they will provide more information. But as of this time, I think with the images that we've shared with you, that when those are made public, I know that there's people out there in the city of Grand Rapids who are going to see this and who know this young man, who have heard stories from other people. You know, people can't keep secrets when it's something this big. Word will get around, so someone knows who this young man is, and it's important that he be held accountable. I appreciate you guys coming. I sincerely appreciate it. That's it. Oh, one other thing. I'm sorry. The Director of Oversight and Public Accountability, Mr. Davis, has joined us. Brandon, I'm sorry I didn't call you out earlier. If you want to stop, okay. Well, if you have any questions for Brandon, he's right over there. All right, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you.